Your mother is dead to us. Amanda's voice cut through the room like a knife as she crouched in front of my children. A cruel smile stretched across her face. Your dad's new wife is your real mom now. Isn't that right, kids? 8-year-old Emma covered her ears, trying not to cry. 6-year-old Lucas clung to his sister, tears streaming silently down his cheeks. I froze in the doorway of my ex-husband's house. I had come to pick up my children after their weekend visit. Instead, I walked into a nightmare. That's enough, Amanda, I said, fighting to keep my voice calm. Years of working as a trauma surgeon had taught me how to stay composed during chaos, but seeing my children hurt like this tested every ounce of that control.
Emma.
Lucas, get your bags. We're leaving. Amanda slowly stood and leaned against the kitchen counter, clearly enjoying herself. Oh, look, she said with a smirk. The abandoned wife finally showed up. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe. Tell me, how does it feel knowing Mark replaced you with someone younger? Someone prettier? I ignored her. She wasn't important. My children were. I knelt beside Emma and Lucas. It's okay, sweethearts, I whispered. Mom's here. 6 months had passed since Mark walked out of our marriage and into a new life with Jessica, a cheerful young dental hygienist. The divorce had been painful enough, but I had done everything possible to keep things peaceful for the children's sake. Amanda had other plans. From the moment the marriage ended, she had made it her mission to turn my children against me. The moment we got into the car, Lucas finally spoke. Aunt Amanda said you didn't love us enough to keep our family together. His tiny hand wrapped tightly around mine. The words shattered my heart. I turned toward him and gently wiped away his tears. Lucas, listen to me. Sometimes grown-ups stop loving each other, but that has nothing to do with how much they love their children. I smiled softly. I will always love you and Emma. Nothing will ever change that. Emma sat quietly with her arms crossed. At only 8 years old, she was carrying questions no child should have to ask. Then why did Daddy leave? She whispered. Why does he love Jessica more than us? My chest tightened. Let's go home first, sweetheart, I said gently. Then we'll talk. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Amanda stood at the window watching us. She was smiling. That smile made my stomach turn. She had disliked me from the beginning. To her, I was the ambitious woman who built a successful medical career while her brother struggled to find direction. My divorce had given her exactly what she wanted, a chance to finally unleash years of resentment. The drive home was painfully quiet. Back at the house, I made hot chocolate, our family comfort ritual. As Emma and Lucas sat at the kitchen table holding their warm mugs, I searched for the right words. You know how sometimes friends stop being close? I asked. They nodded. It doesn't mean either person is bad. Sometimes people simply grow apart. That's what happened between Daddy and me. Emma frowned. Aunt Amanda said Daddy chose Jessica because she's younger and prettier. A flash of anger rushed through me, but I pushed it aside. Sweetheart, real beauty isn't about being young or pretty. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. It's about kindness. It's about honesty. It's about how you treat other people. Lucas climbed into my lap and rested his head on my shoulder. I don't want a new mom, he said quietly. I want you. Tears burned behind my eyes. I wrapped both children in my arms. And you'll always have me. That night, after tucking them into bed, I sat alone in my office. Family photos still lined the shelves. I couldn't bring myself to take them down. My phone suddenly buzzed. A text from Amanda. Asterisk, the kids deserve better than a mother who puts her career first. They're better off with Jessica. Asterisk. I stared at the screen. Then I set the phone down. Instead of responding, I opened my laptop. I began saving everything. Every text message. Every insult. Every attempt to manipulate my children. Every cruel comment. Something told me I would need proof one day. And I was right. Because what happened next would challenge everything I believed about family, justice, and how far a mother would go to protect her children. Over the next 3 months, life became a blur of hospital shifts, custody exchanges, therapy appointments, and endless efforts to help Emma and Lucas heal. Slowly, They began recovering from the damage Amanda had caused. Meanwhile, I continued documenting every incident, building a detailed record of her behavior. I was preparing for a fight. I just didn't know how soon it would begin. Then came the night that changed everything. I was halfway through a brutal 12-hour shift in the emergency room when the doors burst open. Female, mid-30s, severe allergic reaction. A paramedic shouted. Airway closing fast. She's crashing. I turned toward the incoming gurney and froze. Amanda. Her face was swollen beyond recognition. She clawed desperately at her throat, fighting for every breath. Beside her, Mark rushed alongside the stretcher, panic written all over his face. She ate something with shellfish, he gasped. She didn't know it was in the food. Doctor, we need you now, head nurse Carter said sharply. For a split second, time seemed to stop. This was the woman who had spent months poisoning my children's minds against me. The woman who told Emma I cared more about my career than my family. The woman who had caused endless pain and confusion. And now her life was in my hands. Get epinephrine ready, I ordered immediately. Start in 4. The hesitation vanished. In that moment, I wasn't an ex-sister-in-law. I wasn't a mother protecting her children. I was a doctor. And doctors save lives. Her airway is completely closed, Carter warned. No time to wait, I replied. Prepare for an emergency tracheotomy. Mark's face went pale.
Wait.
Alex is doing the procedure? Can't someone else? There isn't time, I snapped while preparing the instruments. If we wait, she dies. The next 20 minutes passed in a blur of precision and adrenaline. My hands remained steady. My focus never broke. I pushed aside every cruel memory, every insult, every painful moment. None of it mattered. All that mattered was saving the patient in front of me. Finally, Amanda's breathing stabilized. The crisis had passed. She's stable, I announced, removing my gloves. Monitor her closely and keep her overnight. As I turned to leave, Mark grabbed my arm. Alex, thank you. I know things haven't been easy between us. I met his eyes. I took an oath. Then I walked away. Halfway down the hallway, I slipped into an empty consultation room. The adrenaline faded instantly. My hands started shaking. I had just saved the life of the woman who had spent the last year trying to destroy mine. The next morning, after my shift ended, one of the nurses approached me. Amanda is asking to see you. I could have refused. Part of me wanted to, but something told me to go. When I entered her room, she looked completely different. Without makeup, without her usual confidence and arrogance, she seemed smaller somehow. Fragile. How are you feeling? I asked professionally. Amanda gave a weak laugh. Like I almost died. I checked her chart. The treatment worked. Just be careful in the future. Alex. I paused. She had never called me by my first name before. I know what I've done, she said quietly.
To you.
To the kids. I sighed. This isn't necessary. Yes, it is. Her voice cracked. When I couldn't breathe last night, all I could think about was how awful I've been. Tears filled her eyes. I've spent years being jealous of you. I blinked. Jealous. Amanda nodded. You built a successful career. You're a great mother. Even after the divorce, you stayed strong. She looked down at her hands. I hated that. I wanted people to see flaws in you. I wanted to hurt you. Her voice broke. So, I used your children. The words hung heavily in the room. I told lies. I manipulated them. And it was unforgivable. For the first time since I'd known her, there was no sarcasm. No cruelty. Only regret. I was wrong, she whispered. Completely wrong. I sat down beside her bed. Amanda, I'm not perfect. She looked up. I've made mistakes. Plenty of them. I thought of Emma and Lucas. But my children are everything to me. Watching them get hurt because of your actions was one of the hardest things I've ever experienced. Tears rolled down Amanda's cheeks. I'm so sorry, Alex. She reached for my hand. This time, I didn't pull away. The silence between us felt different. Not healed. Not fixed. but different. Finally, I spoke. The kids have therapy on Thursday. Amanda nodded carefully. If you're serious about changing, you'll tell them the truth. Without hesitation, she answered. I will. As I left the room, a small weight lifted from my shoulders. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But hope. Maybe my children wouldn't have to carry the burden of Amanda's hatred forever. That night, while tucking Emma and Lucas into bed, Emma looked up at me. Mom, is Aunt Amanda going to be okay? Yes, sweetheart, I said softly. She's going to be fine. Lucas rubbed his sleepy eyes. Did you save her? I smiled. I helped her. Even though she's been mean to us? I sat on the edge of the bed for a moment. Sometimes being kind to someone who hasn't been kind to you can change things. Emma thought about that. So people can change? Sometimes they can. As I turned off the light and closed their bedroom door, I realized I was talking about more than Amanda. I was talking about all of us. Thursday arrived sooner than expected. In Dr. Peters' office, Emma and Lucas sat quietly coloring while we waited. When Amanda walked in, she seemed nervous. Gone was the confident woman who always acted like she owned every room she entered. Instead, she looked uncertain, almost scared. Aunt Amanda, Emma said, are you sick again? Amanda smiled sadly. No, sweetheart. I'm here because I need to tell you something important. Inside the therapist's office, we sat together in a small circle. Lucas climbed into my lap while Emma sat quietly beside me. Dr. Peters smiled gently. Amanda has something she'd like to say. Amanda took a deep breath. Emma. Lucas. Her voice trembled. I need you both to know that I lied. The children stared at her. I said things about your mom that weren't true. Lucas squeezed my hand. Like when you said Mommy didn't love us? Amanda's eyes filled with tears. Yes, exactly like that. She swallowed hard. Those things were lies. Your mom loves you more than anything in the world. Emma frowned. Then why did you say them? The question hit like a hammer. Amanda lowered her head. Because I was jealous. The room fell silent. I was angry about things that had nothing to do with you. Instead of dealing with my feelings, I hurt people I should have protected. She looked directly at them. And I'm deeply sorry. Over the next hour, Amanda carefully untangled every lie she had told. One by one. Patiently. Honestly. For the first time, Emma and Lucas heard the truth from the person who had caused so much confusion. And as I watched them listen, ask questions, and slowly begin to understand, I realized that healing had finally begun. I watched Emma and Lucas carefully process Amanda's words. Their faces shifted through a storm of emotions, confusion, sadness, hurt, and finally something gentler. Understanding. Amanda wiped her eyes before continuing. Your mom showed me what kind of person she really is when I was in the hospital. The room grew quiet. She saved my life even after everything I've done to her. Even after all the hurt I've caused. That's the kind of person your mother is. Her voice trembled. She's someone who helps people, even when they don't deserve it. Emma turned toward me, her eyes wide. Is that true, Mom? Did you really save Aunt Amanda? I smiled softly. Yes, sweetheart. But why? Lucas asked. She was mean to you. I reached for his hand. Because helping people is my job. And because sometimes people deserve a chance to become better. Even mean people? He asked. Even mean people. Dr. Peters gently guided the conversation, helping Emma and Lucas talk about everything they had been feeling. For the first time, Amanda listened without interrupting. Without defending herself. Without making excuses. She listened as Emma described feeling torn between the adult she loved. She listened as Lucas admitted how scared he had been when people told him his mom didn't love him. Tears rolled down Amanda's cheeks. I don't expect forgiveness, she said quietly. Not today. Maybe not for a long time. She looked at both children. What I did was wrong, and I understand if it takes time to trust me again. But I promise I'm going to work every day to become a better aunt. When the session ended, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Relief. The pain wasn't gone. The damage wasn't magically fixed, but for the first time, healing felt possible. Outside in the parking lot, Amanda stopped beside me. Alex. I turned. She took a nervous breath. I've been thinking about the custody situation. I waited. The kids need more stability, fewer transitions, more time in one home. Her eyes met mine. They need more time with you. For a moment, I simply stared at her. Months earlier, those words would have been unimaginable. Yet now there was no hidden agenda, no manipulation, only honesty.
Thank you, I said.
She nodded quietly. Over the following months, things slowly began to change. Amanda didn't just stop undermining me. She actively worked to repair the damage she had caused. She corrected false stories whenever they came up. She encouraged Mark to spend meaningful time with the children instead of trying to force Jessica into a parental role. Most importantly, she earned back trust one small step at a time. One sunny Sunday afternoon, I was working in the garden while Emma and Lucas chased each other through the yard. Amanda arrived carrying a small paper bag. She looked almost embarrassed. Peace offering? I raised an eyebrow. She opened the bag. Inside were vegetable seed packets. Tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, she said. I thought the kids might enjoy growing something together. Emma immediately brightened. Can we plant them, Mom? I laughed. Of course. Soon all four of us were kneeling in the dirt. Lucas carefully dropped seeds into tiny holes. Emma proudly covered them with soil. Amanda patiently explained how much sunlight each plant would need. Watching them together, I realized something important. Real change rarely arrives through dramatic speeches. Most of the time, it appears in quiet moments, in small choices, in consistent actions repeated day after day. That evening, after baths, stories, and bedtime hugs, Emma looked up at me from beneath her blanket. Mom, yes, sweetheart. Is it okay that I'm starting to like Aunt Amanda again? I brushed a strand of hair from her face. Of course it is. Even after everything? I smiled. People can change when they truly want to. Emma thought about that. I think she really wants to. I think so too. From the other bed, Lucas suddenly spoke. Did she change because you saved her? The question lingered in the darkness. I thought carefully before answering. No. He looked confused. No. I shook my head. I think people save themselves. Both children listened quietly. Sometimes they just need a reason to try. Lucas seemed satisfied with that answer. Within minutes, both children were asleep. I stood in the doorway for a moment, watching them breathe peacefully. For so long, our family had been trapped in anger, resentment, and pain. One medical emergency hadn't erased all of that. There were still difficult conversations ahead, still wounds that needed time to heal. But we were moving forward, and sometimes moving forward is enough. As I quietly closed their bedroom door, I realized something else. The night Amanda arrived at my hospital fighting for her life hadn't simply saved her future. It had given all of us a second chance. And that, perhaps, was the greatest miracle of all.